Not long until the Euros get underway, and we're covering all here on Hammers Chat. We're going to have a match preview for every single Scotland game, every single England game, as well as a watch along for every single England game, plus the semi-finals and the finals. Should England not make it there, we will continue to do a watch along for every single round. Hammers Chat have got you covered, so buckle up and join in because this is our Euro 2024 preview. Gonzo, are you looking forward to it?
I am actually. I really am looking forward to it. I didn't spend any time in the build-up. I think because of West Ham, because of the nature of the season, and we were in Europe until the quarter-final stage, and then we had just all the West Ham news and the David Moyes stuff, and then we started the transfer window early, even though the transfer window's not started yet. So we had the speculation. I feel that I've not had time to look forward to it over a long period of time. So it feels like it's upon me, West Ham, Euros, there you go, sort of in your face. And I am really looking forward to it now, despite Gareth Southgate's managerial performance against Iceland. And to be fair, we could probably blame some of the players as well, but I like to think we have some really, really good players. So, I'm looking forward to it as a bit of an extravaganza of football as well, although somewhat tentative about England's chances.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it as well. I'm really excited for it. Usually, I'm just merely a spectator for these tournaments, and I'm still just a spectator for the World Cup. So hopefully that can change in the future. But the second Euros finals in a row now, being able to have my country there get involved. We may not last the distance, but certainly for the group stages, I can get excited and get my hopes up. But I'm really looking forward to, like you said, a festival of football, and it is hit you hard in the face because you've got the FA Cup final, the Championship League 1, League 2 playoffs, you've got the Champions League final, then bang, international friendlies. And then you sort of take like a little bit of attention towards that. But it's almost like too much football. So I think a lot of people back away from the fans. Say, I'll just wait till the Euros, thank you. I've got my fix coming up. But here it is. And I'm looking forward to discussing it with you. But first of all, I want to talk about your country, England. Favourites, the bookies' favourites, but are they your favourites?
Yeah, I often wonder about that. Are they the English bookies' favourites? The Spanish bookies saying something different. For example, I'm pretty sure the French bookies will be saying something different. Well, at least in a different language, at least. But are they my favourites? Absolutely, the favourites.
One.
Absolutely. I think the same problems are probably still there with England that remained, and I think talent has probably not been the reason that England haven't won something since 1966. I think we continually choose the wrong managers. And we've got a real habit about that. And now there's a bit of an issue, really, because it's not the pinnacle. It's not the best job in world football anymore. Far from it. I would almost say no international job is. I think if you are, for pretty much, I don't know, probably the first half of my life, it would have been the pinnacle of everybody's ambition would be, okay, well, I'll get into management, I'll get into coaching, I'll become a manager, I'll do some stuff at club level, and then hopefully that will get me noticed and I can get the national job. Obviously, if you're English, you want England job and so on and so forth. I don't think that's the case anymore. I don't think young aspiring coaches are dreaming of that. I think they're dreaming of a Champions League club, maybe. And I feel that has also mirrored in the way we watch football as well. So these tournaments always used to be, and people, I'm 50, people of my age will know what I'm talking about here. You didn't have wall-to-wall football. So a tournament would pop up and you'd see, this Georgie Haji, who's this geezer? Who is this? There'd be any number of people, you wouldn't see, you wouldn't know of any Romanian players. You just wouldn't until they rocked up. And then there would be a superstar. And that'd be the first time you ever saw them. Those days are gone. If West Ham are linked with somebody from the German second division, for instance, and hold on a second, who's this right back? Somebody will pop up in the comments and say, well, I watched this guy. I know all about this guy. Everyone knows about everyone. And it's saturation of football. There's console games. There's Football Manager. People know there's no surprises anymore. So the pinnacle, and also the best players in the world all play in the Champions League. Before that wasn't the case because it was only the winners could qualify for the European Cup. Only the winner, one per country. Now all the best players play in the Champions League. They used to all play in this thing. So I think that's different. I think it's changed. So I think you've got the situation whereby we don't have a top level coach. Although he can win it, by the way, he can win it. And I think the other problem that still remains is the fatigue level. I don't think England have sorted that out, which is we do tend to get to these tournaments knackered. And I don't see anything that would have changed that. And certainly not that little Mickey Mouse winter break that we sort of have.
Interesting. I'm going to discuss your points in just a second. Before I do, I'm pointing in the direction of the sponsors of this video. And it's a new brand deal for us here at Hammers Chat, but it's an important one because we use it. It's Surfshark. Gonzo's got it on his Fire Stick. I've got it on my computer. We'll tell you a few reasons as to why we have and why we use Surfshark. We approached the brands that we use and said, hey, do you want to sponsor Hammers Chat? Surfshark come back and said, yeah, go on then. We'll give you a little bit of a go. So we've got a deal for you with them. If you join Surfshark using the code Hammers Chat, all one word, or use the link that's in the description below, you get 4 months free, plus they've got a 30-day money-back guarantee. So if you click on the link, sign up, download it, have a go, and if after 2 or 3 weeks you don't like it, you get in touch with Surfshark and you get a full refund. You've got nothing to lose, so stay protected while you're online. And you can also change your geographical location, which is my favorite part of a VPN. So if you're abroad and you want to watch something in the UK, you can switch it to the UK and then you can access that content whilst you are overseas. So if you're in Germany right now, you want to get your hands on some UK based content, you can change your location. But Gonzo is one of your favorite all-time, your brand, your trusted brand.
I promise you, I've been using Surfshark for 3 years now. If you're not using Surfshark, if you're not using a VPN, then you basically have an open window into what you're doing. And it's not just the obvious stuff that you don't want people to know what you're doing on the internet. By the way, everything we do now, we have banking online. We have a load of stuff that we do online on a daily basis. You do not want people having access. And it's an easy throwaway line, access to your data. Well, actually, your data sounds like quite rich, but actually your data's your passwords, data's your access, your data's your activity that you've been doing online that you just don't want people to get hold of. Basically, if you ain't got a Surfshark VPN, you're walking down the street with your pants hanging down. You don't want to do it, and nobody wants to see it.
There's questions over Southgate's defence. Don't allow there to be questions over your device's defence. Get your Surfshark today. Link in the description below. Use the code HammersChat 4 months free. In terms of what you said there, I completely agree with what you've said. I disagree a little bit about the sort of unknown players, because one of the reasons I'm looking forward to the Euros is there's players that I haven't seen play but I've heard of. And I think that's the thing. You've heard of them, but you perhaps haven't seen them. And that's what I am excited for. There's a handful of players that I'm going to be keeping an eye out for. Maybe it's because West Ham have been linked to them. Maybe it's because there's a bit of hype around them. They're a young player and I've not seen them play yet. So I get your point. There is, but I still think there's always surprises at tournaments. There are players that just perform and you weren't expecting them to, and you haven't heard of them. In terms of the guy in charge, and I think this is the change of the role in modern times now. And you said there's no aspiring upcoming guy that thinks I'm going to become my national manager, and that's because the trend nowadays is to become a head coach. I think in the national team, I think you want to be a manager, because you don't really have time to implement all your tactics and ideas. You cannot change the playing style as such. It's a very difficult thing to do because you've got such a short space of time. And I think it's more important is to be the man manager and to get the best out of what you've got in that squad of players. And I think that is what's different now, whereas now clubs are employing people to become head coaches, be tacticians, whereas I think the national team still requires the old school arm around the shoulder kind of thing. Tactics are a part of it, of course it is, but I remember Southgate, I remember watching a video about Southgate and he got asked about why he played certain players, and he basically said, well, because of what they do at Man City, I wanted to include as many Man City players as possible because of the way Pep plays. And I thought, well, look, he just basically stole Pep's tactics. Said, do what you do with Pep, please, but just and it sounds a bit daft, but actually there's nothing wrong with that. So I think the role of the guy in charge of the national team has changed. But I agree with what you've said. In terms of England, you're one of the favourites, obviously. I think you'll go far. I'd be surprised if you didn't make the quarterfinals. But we've all done the little predictor thing. Yeah, I think these will win the groups and this is what will happen. And should you win the group and should France win the group as expected, you will meet each other in the semi-finals. And I think that's maybe where you'll come unstuck. It's, your defence is a bit dodgy. I think your attack is incredible. But I think you've got an average manager in charge of a wonderful set of players, and I think that's going to be your downfall, really. I think sometimes his boring Southgate can sometimes do you wonders, but I remember reading a statistic about and I could have this wrong, so don't quote me directly, but it won't be too far off because it's from memory. And it was that England have come up against a country in the top 10 24 times, and Southgate's won 5 games or something like that. That's alarming. That is not good enough. And I think that shows what England are. They get past the teams they're expected to get past, but when they come up against somebody good, they struggle a little bit. And I think that's when it comes down to the guy in the dugout. So I think you've got the players, you just ain't got the manager.
Yeah, I mean, there's a paradox with Southgate, and that is one of the reasons that. Well, I was going to say West Ham. It was going to be Freudian slip then, but actually, it remains true, because when we spoke over on our Patreon channel, we spoke to Ricky Martin, who of course was West Ham Academy director until 2002, and he said on the video, he said that the Premier League Academy system is the envy of the world. They're now coming over here to learn how we do it. Whereas before we would look at Clairefontaine over in France to see how they were doing. But now we're there. We're producing incredible youngsters across every level who are winning European and world tournaments. The English youngsters. There were 2 people to put that in place. First one that started doing it was Trevor Brooking. The second one that carried on, did such good work, was Gareth Southgate. So, anyone that's got kids, the reason when you go along there, the reason that the kids are playing restricted games on small pitches with small goals and aren't allowed to kick it out, the goalkeeper has to roll it out the back, that's Southgate. And that has eventually manifested itself in a load of technical players. So he should be lauded and rewarded for having done that. Ultimately, though, because he's done such good work, he's been promoted up the chain of command at the FA, and they're incredibly grateful for what he's done, and so they should be. But it's meant that he's now in a position where he's probably not qualified to be, particularly given his managerial record. So he's been an exceptional technical director, but he's now in a position where tactically he just gets outdone, and there's nothing to do with talent anymore. Because you're right. Yes, okay, we're a little bit shy on defenders, but I think somebody mentioned the other day that the best player in England was Phil Foden. The best player in Spain was Jude Bellingham. And I know it's a throwaway line and it can be argued. I get that. I know you can come back to me with other names. And you know what I'm going to say now, the best player in Germany was Harry Kane, right? Okay, so it's a good line. It's a good line. But there's an element of truth to it. And what it says is don't get hung up on the details. Listen to what the messaging's saying. Talent isn't an issue for West Ham. Globally, West Ham for England. Should remember that when we 2 Lions shirt on. Your talent is not a problem. All right. The talent is there. England can win this tournament just based on talent alone. But the manager is a bit of a problem because he's too cautious. Now, that can work. The cautious manager can win. But he's slow to. This is going to sound like I'm talking about someone else, the West Ham fans watching this. But he's really slow to react when the opposition head coach makes a tactical change or something like that. And you look at the squad, and let's take Bellingham and Foden at the moment. You just sort of know that Southgate's looking at that and seeing it as a problem, and you just know that there's almost every other top coach in the world is looking at that and seeing that as a real bonus and a real benefit and a real asset to the team.
All right, then. So will England win it, yes or no?
No.
I'm going to say no. So who do you think will win it?
I think France will win it. I think you mentioned it there. I think they are. I think they've got a more... I mean, I do think the 2 most talented squads are England and France. I think France is just a slight level above.
Yeah, I agree. I think the talent in that French squad is ridiculous, and they've done it. I think... The team I think will win it is Portugal, though. I think if they win, and it hinges on them winning their group here, but if they win their group...
They've got an easy group, to be fair.
I don't know if anyone does. It's one of the easier ones. You'd expect them to win their group, and then if they go through, the way I've had it, they'll play Ukraine, and I think it's the Netherlands, and I expect them to get through those ones before they're in semi-final. Hang on a minute, you've got there without really being tested too much. So I think Portugal would be my fancy to go on and win this tournament, and I've got a little bit of a bet, actually.
Oh.
I don't normally share my bet because, well, in case people put money on it and lose, and I feel bad. That will still be the case, but it's 40-1, so I think it's quite a big one. You can bump it up to 80-1 if you want to add Portugal to win the tournament, but 40-1 for Bruno Fernandes to be player of the tournament. And it's obviously based on the fact that I think Portugal will go on and win this. So obviously, player of the tournament increases if your country
Of
go on
course.
and win it. And I'm expecting Fernandes to rack up a few assists and possibly pop up with a couple of goals as well. I think he's looking good in a Portugal shirt. Got an assist in the previous friendly as well. So that's my outside bet for the tournament. Bruno Fernandes to be the main man. Now, if you fancy yourself as somebody that's a little bit clued up for the Euros, or perhaps you just want to have a little bit of fun, head over to our Patreon, patreon.com/HammersChat. This is mainly aimed at the current patrons. You can enter our Fantasy League and our Prediction League, 2 separate competitions, and it's included in your subscription. There's no additional fee. Just enter it. If you win Fantasy League, you'll win a signed shirt. And
not this one.
Not that one. And the runner-up will win a signed book, either Tony Gale one or a Julian Dix one, depending what the competition you come runner-up in. And if you're an addict, the top tier, and you win, on top of your prize, you will also get a signed Julian Dix print. So we've got potentially 5 prizes up for grabs over on Patreon for the Euro 24 competitions on Hammers Chat. Plus,
if a new sign-up wins it, you can have this.
There you go. You can have the shirt off Gonzo's back. Plus,
Literally.
if you join Patreon in June, you're entered into the prize draw for a match-worn Anna Caswell shirt. And if you're paid Patreon in July, you're entered into a draw for a match-worn Javid Bourne shirt, which he scored in against Liverpool. So from £7.20 for June and July combined, from £7.20, you can enter Fantasy League, Prediction League, and 2 draws to win a match-worn shirt.
Great goal, that. Great goal, that. Bowen goal.
Yeah, and I think that's good value. $7.20 to enter essentially 2 raffles plus 2 competitions. And if you were to win them all, you'd have 2 match-worn shirts and 2 signed shirts. And if you're an addict, you also get 2 Julian Dix prints. That's not bad.
Nice. Yeah, I thought it's excellent value.
Running at a loss here on Hammers Chat Patreon over the summer.
Yeah, only the old Surfshark can bump it up.
Right then, in terms of the sort of players to look out for, before people say, why not discussing Scotland? We've done our Scotland preview and we discussed the chances of Scotland at the tournament over there. In terms of the players you're looking out for, is there anyone in particular you're going to be keeping an eye out for?
Not really. I don't have a big enough knowledge of the game. As I say, it's always me being educated when West Ham have been linked to someone. I say, who's this guy? And someone will type up in the comments and say, such and such. I would really like to see somebody coming from, well, I was going to say Serbian team. That wouldn't be a great one because they're in England's groups. And
I'm looking forward to the Serbian players. Hopefully they step up. Yeah,
absolutely. No, but, maybe a lesser country, well, it would be very traditional for a young, talented Hungarian player to come through. They're in your group, aren't they? Sorry.
Yeah.
Actually,
Albanian. Can we have an Albanian come through?
Absolutely. So something like that. Somebody, that's not in Spain or, or France or something like that. I do wonder for Germany, Wirtz, if he's going to have a big campaign. He's certainly... There was so much hype around Leverkusen, and they deserved it, by the way. Let's get that right. It was an incredible achievement, but then they sort of petered off a little bit towards the end, which I think is completely understandable. I think there was when people were saying they're going to win the treble, and they didn't. But I do wonder if they've had a little mental rest now, and he's going to come in and really, steal the show because he's a hell of a player. But I mean, look, there's some great players out. I look at the pressure though on someone like Mbappe, who I find it a fascinating watch. I don't even mean just him playing. The whole thing, the whole wrangle with PSG, the whole thing about him, the story that he was going to insist on what coaches they had and the money was put on. And then he goes to Real Madrid and then there's just a big pressure on him now because it's... he has to now. He's actually got to know he's going to go to Real Madrid. He's got to be better than Vinicius Jr. That's really hard. I know people say, well, of course, Mbappe's better than him. That's hard. There's a lot of pressure. And he's been made France captain as well. And I'm fascinated by the pressure put on this young man's shoulders. It's going to be incredible to see. And I'll tell you what, if he'll have one hell of a temperament. If he comes through and he gets player of the tournament, then you've got to look at him and think, well, there's nothing can dent this guy, actually. So that's going to be really interesting watch as well.
Obviously, we've got the West Ham players. I don't think we'll see much of Bowen or Areola, but I think we'll see plenty of Souček and Soufal. So that I'm not sure the Czechs will do too well. They've got a new manager in there as well. So I think they'll do well to get past the round 16. I think they can get out their group, but just getting beyond that last 16 is difficult. And I don't like the way that this happens, that 6 groups and 4 third-place teams go through. I don't like that. You know, it's too many teams. Well, 24 countries, 16 make it to the last 16. There you go, Master Masson here again on Hammers Chat.
There is.
But only 8 teams go out. I don't like it. No. There's too many teams going through, and it doesn't sit well with me. But it gives the likes of Scotland a good opportunity to get into the last 16, and then you're into knockouts, and it's a bit more optimism. Once you're in the knockouts, it's like, right, let's go. It's 1v1 for 90 minutes now, and we've got a chance of going into the next round. But there's a few players I'm looking out for that I've heard of. I've just never seen play. This Spain squad doesn't feel as strong as it used to be, but it does also feel littered with a lot of young talent. We obviously know the likes of Gavi and Pedri, but Yamal, who's 16, is possibly going to be playing on the wing for them, and the youngest ever player to play at the Euro Championships. Williams as well. So I'm looking forward to seeing some of the Spain squad. Sesko, who's signed a new contract at Leipzig, who's struggled. He had to be patient to get into Leipzig, but it ended the season. I think he scored in his last 6 or 7 games. Strongly linked to the Premier League and Man U, but signed a new contract. So he'll be looking, I think he'll be making a big name for himself. I've seen plenty of him in the Bundesliga though, but Dobvik, who looks like he's joined Atletico Madrid, I've never seen him play. Ukrainian striker, I've not seen him play, so I'm looking forward to seeing more of him as well. And I had to write it down. Debas, the Belgian centre back that we were linked to, West Ham.
Yes, we were.
Looks like he's joining Sporting, and there's a lot of
from Anderlecht, isn't he? Is that right? Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of big things expected for him. So I'm looking forward to seeing him, because if we were scouting him now and he's gone to Sporting, I'm pretty certain we'll continue to scout him while he's in Portugal. So it's one of those I'm just going to be interested to keep an eye on. So you guys can get involved in the comments below. Any players you're looking forward to watching, how you think England and Scotland will get on as well, who you think will go on and win the tournament. In regards to Euro 24 as a whole, Gonzo, any final words?
Yeah, there is actually. I'm glad you just reminded me. I want to just quickly talk about Jude Bellingham, if I may, because I felt Bellingham got a hell of a lot of stick after the Champions League final for his interviews and stuff like that. I think he's incredible. I think he's incredible. I don't know how old he is. He might be 20 or something like that, right? He can speak 3 languages, right? He's gone out. He's played in England. He's already 20. 3 languages. Played in England. Played in Germany. Played in Spain.
I don't think he knows much German. I think this is a complaint a lot of the Dortmund fans have, because they said he was here for a few years, didn't learn too much German. He's gone to Spain. He's now speaking practically fluent Spanish after a year.
Well, to be fair, it's slightly easier to learn Spanish than German. People know German is a difficult language to learn. But I think he's actually remarkable. I think he's a. I love the way he uses his dad as his agent. He takes his family with him everywhere. And I think I would always wanted more English players to go out, and it was a hell of a thing to move to another country. Well, as you know yourself, to move to another country and learn a new language is quite something, you know. And to, you know, new lifestyle, new culture, that type of thing. And I think, you know, it makes better footballers because of it. And I think the England team have suffered because too few have done that. So to see, look, Kane going out is a good thing, but to see someone go out so young like that, and we're now, I know perhaps it didn't work out for Sancho and things like that, but we're seeing more and more of that. You know, and I guess because of Bundesliga do start to cherry pick some of the English youngsters now and take them over there. But I just think he's a tremendous player. I think he's impressive. I think he's got incredible leadership qualities as well. And I think if England are going to do anything at this tournament, and if England were to go on and win it, he would. I'm not saying anything surprising. There's no big tip off. It's not like your 40-1 bet. You know, me saying if England are going to win, Jude Bellingham will play well. I would be doing no shit, Sherlock. But I really do believe it. And I think I'm really looking forward to seeing him in particular. I think he's an incredible footballer.
Well, thank you very much, Gonzo, and thank you very much to you guys at home for joining us. If you've enjoyed this video, please do drop a like on it, subscribe to Hammers Chat. Like I said, we'll be covering the Euros throughout the tournament, regardless of how far Scotland and England get involved in our fantasy league. And if you want to surf shark, use the code Hammers Chat or the link that's in the description below and get 4 months free for using that Hammers Chat code. Myself and Gonzo, well, we'll catch you in the Scotland preview, the England preview, or we'll catch you up on Sunday for the build-up show and watch along for the England game. We'll catch you soon.